So, our next topic would be the 1993 FAO Compliance Agreement. So, this agreement promotes compliance with international conservation and management measures by fishing vessels on high seas. It was adopted by the 27th session of the Conference of the Fisheries and Agriculture Organization of the UN on the 24th of November 1993 by Resolution 15 out of 93 and open for acceptance. In accordance with the Article 11, Section 1, the agreement entered into force on the 24th of April 2003, date of receipt by the Director General of the 25th Instrument of Acceptance. So, this FAO compliance agreement was established to address the need for effective measures to ensure compliance with international conservation and management measures for high seas fisheries. So the high seas are areas beyond the exclusive economic zones or the EEZs of any country, and they are considered international waters. This agreement has objectives which is for flag states to take measures including the authorization of fishing operations on the high seas to ensure that their flag vessels do not undermine the effectiveness of international conservation and management measures. So, if we wanted to go into fishing operations, so your flag vessels should be authorized to go into the high areas or high seas. And it is also the aim of this agreement to establish a database of fishing vessels authorized to fish on the high seas and to promote the exchange of information in such vessels. So as what I have said, you need to be authorized to go into a fishing operation. At the same time, the fishing vessels should also be establish a database or also be authorized to go into the high seas. And the agreement requires the issues to be implemented into the national legislation of its parties. So the first one would be a definition of the duties of the flag state according to the agreement and designation of the national authority responsible for carrying them out. So, it emphasizes the responsibility of the state to take measures to ensure that its vessels comply with international conservation and management. Next is provisions making it unlawful for flag vessels to undermine the effectiveness of international conservation and management measures, and providing a mechanisms for authorities to ensure that the law is respected. So, it promote and encourage effective implementation of international conservation and management measures for fisheries on the high seas. And this law is respected at the same time. Next is mandatory fishing authorization for flag vessels fishing on high seas. So there is a mandatory fishing authorization. You cannot go to the high seas without any authorization since it is mandatory. Next is mandatory conditions for flag vessels receiving a fishing authorization. So if you are wanted to go to a fishing operation, so you need to be or to have a authorization for fishing on high seas. At the same time, you have also a authorization of your flag vessels that will go into the areas of or into the high seas. So duha ka authorization ng imuhang fishing vessels and also authorization nga makakadto ka sa high seas. Next is proper marking of the fishing vessels. So the fishing vessels that you will be going to use should be marked. And information on fishing operations. There will be information on the fishing operation. Next is enforcement measures and sanctions. So if you will not follow the rule given to you, so you will receive sanctions as it is implemented already. And next is establishment and maintenance of record of flag vessels fishing on high seas. So you will be monitored, and also there will be a maintenance of record on your fishing operation. Next is the duties of the flag state to provide FAO with information. So the flag state will be on duties that will sila ang kuan na para kung gi-follow ba nimo ang FAO compliance agreement. So ang flag state sila ang magtan-aw, sila ang nakatuka na magtrabaho yaon na kuan kung gi-follow ba nimo para makakadto ka sa imuhang fishing operation. So next we will going to tackle the 1995 UN Fish Stock Agreement. So the 1995 agreement for the implementation of the provisions of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea of 10 of December 1982 relating to the conservation and management of straddling fish stocks and highly migratory fish stocks, or the 1995 UN Fish Stock Agreement. So this agreement also, it emphasizes the importance of the cooperation also with the state, both the coastal and the fishing states. So this agreement promotes the application of the precautionary approach to fisheries management. It involves taking preventive action to avoid potential harm to marine environment and to over-exploitation of fish stock. So the objectives of this agreement is to ensure the long-term conservation and sustainable use of straddling fish stocks and highly migratory fish stocks through effective implementation of the relevant provisions of the convention. So as what said in the objectives, it ensures the long-term conservation. So long-term conservation of the fish stock. So the agreement was adopted on the 4th of August 1995 by the United Nations Conference on Straddling Fish Stock and Highly Migratory Fish Stock and opened for signature on the December 4, 1995. So this agreement entered into force on the December 11, 2001, that is 30 days after the date of deposit of the 30th instrument of ratification or accession in accordance with the Article 40, Section 1 of the agreement. So, the Philippines signed this fish stock agreement on 29 of August 1996, but it has yet to ratify, with the government still in the process of completing its internal requirements to be bound by the agreement. So in order to conserve and manage straddling fish stock and high migratory fish stock, coastal states and states fishing on the high seas shall, in giving effect to their duty, to cooperate in accordance with the convention. So the first one in the objectives is the adapt measures to ensure long-term sustainability of straddling fish stock and highly migratory fish stock and promote the objectives of their optimum utilization. So, the measures should be to ensure long-term sustainability of the fish stock. So that, and also it will be, it promotes the objectives of the utilization. And next is to ensure that such measures are based on the best scientific evidence available, are designed to maintain or restore stocks at levels capable of producing maximum sustainable yield as qualified by relevant environmental and economic factors, including the special requirements of developing states, taking into account fishing patterns, the interdependence of the stock, and generally recommended international minimum standards, whether sub-regional, regional, or international. So, there will be a measures of best scientific evidence available. Next is apply the precautionary approach in accordance with Article 6. So, you also need to apply the precautionary approach. Next is assess the impacts of fishing, the other human activities and environmental factors on target stocks and species belonging to the same ecosystem or associated with or dependent upon the target stocks. So, also assess the impacts of fishing and also the human activities. Adapt where necessary conservation and management measures for species belonging to the same ecosystem or associated with or dependent upon the target stock with a view to maintaining or restoring populations of such species above level at which reproduction may become seriously threatened. So, we really need to adapt conservation and management of species. Next is minimize pollution, waste, discards, catch by lost or abandoned gear eaten of non-target species. So, we need to properly segregate our waste or minimize pollution so that those species they will not target to eat those pollutants. Kaya once makaunang species ang mga pollutants, ang mga waste, so they will be affected. So makuan sila, it's either mapatay or ma-extinct na guys sila ingon ana kay tungod sa pollution. Protect biodiversity in the marine environment. So, we really need to protect the biodiversity of our marine ecosystems or marine environment. So, take measures to prevent or eliminate overfishing and excess fishing capacity and to ensure that levels of fishing efforts do not exceed those commensurate with the sustainable use of fishing resources. So, there is a, what do you call this one? May limitation lang siya para dili bitaw makakuan ng overfishing or excess fishing. So, as nakita ko siya sa video, I think sa Facebook yan to or sa TikTok, na in other countries, kung they will go into fishing, ingon ana. So, naikuan, may sukdanan nila kung uno kadako ng mga fish or mga marine life like mga crabs ingon ana, may sukdanan nila kung uno da kadako na aning mas uno katas-o na aning na kuan marine life ang ilahang dapat kuhaon for intake para ilahang kaunon ingon ana. So dapat gina-follow yadto nila. So mudong ngayon sila sa certain place na pangisdaan or kuhaan ng mga crabs ingon ana. Then, pag makakuha na sila, ilahang sukdon, unsa kataas, unsa kadakon. Kung makaabot dito sa ginaalaw nga pwede kuhaon, so pwede na to nila dalon. Pero pag itong mga gamay siya, mga mugbo pa, so dapat ito siya ginapabalik nila sa dagat kay para yadto mudako pa siya, and then kanang mudako pa siya, and then at the same time kanang mudaghan pa bitaw siya ana. So there will be a limitation on the marine life that you will be getting. Next is, take into account the interest of artisanal and subsistence fishers. Next is, collect and share in a timely manner complete and accurate data concerning fishing activities on the inter alia, the vessel position, catch-off target and non-target species, and fishing effort. Set out the annex as well as information from national and international research programs. So, you will collect and also share at the same time kung uno da na mga marine life ang imuhang kuhaon ngadto, uno ang imuhang target bitaw. Then, dapat siya accurate sab ang imuhang mga data o kumpleto at the same time ang imuhang mga fishing activities. Next is, promote and conduct scientific research and develop appropriate technologies in support of fishery conservation and management. So we really need to conduct scientific research and also with the support of the technologies for fishery conservation and also management. And next is implement and enforce conservation and management measures through effective monitoring, control, and surveillance. So, gina-implement gayud ang conservation o giunsa nimo and also pag-manage. Giunsa nimo pag-control ang imuhang fish or the fish stock. There are summary of elements. First one is, the agreement requires coastal states and distant water fishing states to ensure that the conservation and management measures which are created within the EEZ on the high seas are compatible. So, ano pa to ang kuan? Ining na agreement mo requires og coastal state and ensuring the conservation and management of the high seas. The second is, the agreement sets out general principles for the conservation and management of straddling fish stocks and highly migratory fish stocks, including the precautionary approach which parties to the agreement are to apply in the high seas as well as within their EEZs. So, may mga general principles gayod nga gina-follow or ginahatag sa agreement for conservation and management of fish stock. Conservation and management siya sa fish stock as it is a migratory. So, highly migratory fish stock. Next is the agreement of species, the duties of the flag states with respect to their vessels fishing on the high seas for straddling fish stocks and highly migratory fish stocks. So, ang ketong agreement na ginabuhat ng flag states. So, di ba ang duties ng flag states, siya itong mag-monitor, siya itong magkuan na kung may tatakbay mo hang vessels, itong sa ano pa tawag, itong sa authorized nga mukadto ka sa sa high seas. Authorized ka nga mag-fishing. Ito ang mga duties ng flag states. Next, the fourth is, the agreement contains detailed rules in the establishment and operation of sub-regional or regional fisheries management organization or arrangements, or the RFOs, regional fisheries organization or management organization, which are established to conservation and management measures on the high seas. So, ang agreement, it also contains the rules nga gi-establish na dapat i-follow ng isa ka fishers. Mga parties to the agreement are obliged to join RFOs or agree to comply with the measures they create. So, ang mga parties nga involved nga nagperma, so 'di ba, isa ang Philippines sa parties nga nag-sign. So, we agree nga i-follow nato ang agreement or i-follow nato ang rule nga gihatag. Otherwise, we are not allowed to fish in the areas where this management and observation measures apply. So, kung dili nimo yadto i-follow, so common sense na dili ka fish ngadto. You cannot go into the fishing areas since you didn't follow the agreement. Next is, the agreement introduces innovative provisions on enforcement for non-flag states and new concept of port state jurisdiction in respect of fishing vessels. So, this agreement also introduces mga innovative provisions sa mga non-flag state. The last one is, the agreement contains detailed provisions on peaceful dispute settlement. So, in this agreement, may mga rule, mga buhaton ng mga flag states. Also, nakapaloob sa iya ang detailed provision ng mga peaceful settlement. So, kung una yadtong mga naayad to sa kuan, so we really need to follow. So, that's all with our report. Thank you.